Sounds about right.
Like with
Googlers are the biggest Apple fans there are. Like they buy so much stuff from Apple stores.
Like, who would have thought they weren't using Pixel Buds? I'm shocked by that.
Damn it! I'm blown away.
Well, Pixel Buds are junk, so I'm not at all surprised.
We're live, I think.
Pixel Buds this year that are true wireless and don't suck.
The Pixel Buds are going to be junk forever. It's just the way it is.
I mean, if they're true wireless and they charge by via Type C, then Google's like half the way there. They can make them sound okay and have good audio sync. Then we're good. That's all I really need.
The only way to get good audio sync right now is what with Qualcomm's aptX.
I don't know. The earrings have pretty good audio sync. I don't know what they have. I don't know for sure if they.
Whatever the AirPods use on my Pixel seem to be good enough. I'm not sure. I think it's just AAC. I'm not sure what that's an abbreviation for, but it sounds fine.
AAC, you said?
I think.
That's a audio format.
Yeah.
Or well, container format, just like MP3.
Oh, it's
AAC
that wouldn't be right.
Apple kind of mainstreamed.
Okay, so Android just says HD audio. It doesn't actually tell me what codec. Okay. Never mind. Ignore me.
I usually do.
Hey. Well, we're live, so you can't ignore me any longer.
Yeah, just watch me. I mean,
Corbin has the kill switch, so he's in charge.
I will kick you off this Hangouts call.
Well, are we ready to do this?
Say words and do stuff.
We are. We got it. We got 1 cent. Thank you, Scuttlefield.
Oh, good. And now he's number one. He's at the top.
It was his hat, Mr. Krabs.
Do we have So we have that emoji for subscribers now, right? That's a thing they can use.
Yeah. Let me try it. We're gonna announce it when the show starts. So don't spoil it yet.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Okay. Are we ready then?
Yes.
Okay. We really need some music.
We do.
Intro music? I mean,
that's your job to find some royalties and figure out how to make that like part of the podcast.
Someone's got GarageBand. We should just like play a couple of tones and call it good.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as there's some sort of noise. Okay. Ready? Welcome to the Android Please podcast. I am your host, Ryan Whitwam.
I'm Cody Toombs.
I'm Corbin Davenport.
And I'm Ryan Hager.
And this week, we have an emoji to talk about.
Holy shit, do we have an emoji?
Yeah, so last week, we announced that we're now Twitch affiliates, which means you can give us money by subscribing to us on Twitch.
You can also do it without spending money if you have an Amazon Prime.
Yeah, you don't even have to spend money to give us money. It's a win-win. But anyway, if you are a Twitch subscriber, you now have access to a special emoji that we made for the work Slack a long time ago, and it's great. So we've put it in the Twitch. So I think the code is Ryan. Yeah, there we go. I just put it in the chat.
I think it's like maybe it's funnier to us than it is to other people.
Could be.
It's like I guess that was at Mobile World Congress last year. I took a picture. We just gotten Galaxy S9 review units, and I was taking a bunch of pictures. And one of them, like, we were in this bar, and Ryan was just like laughing really, really aggressively. Like, I've never seen somebody laugh with so much feeling. So I took a picture of him doing it. It just happened to be a really hilarious picture.
I think it actually made it into the review too.
Huh?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think it did.
Yeah. Yes, it's a pretty good emoji, I think. But like, I don't know. Just because I've met Ryan, I think maybe it's better. But yeah, so if you subscribe to us on Twitch, you too can use the extreme laughing Ryan.
There we go. Thank you,
Good one.
Scuttlefield. Yeah, and Liam said we need the scoop emoji. I agree, but the problem is that Twitch won't let us add more than one emoji. I think Twitch partners get more, but we're
not
just
that
affiliates. Yeah, we're just affiliates. So
maybe we can occasionally rotate the emoji to like other.
yeah, we can do that.
Every week we'll have like 4 that we rotate. So every month there's a new set of 4 or something.
I don't have time to make that many emojis.
Oh, it can be the same 4 over and over again.
Oh.
Okay. So that's enough emoji talk. That was actually way too much emoji talk.
I feel like it was just
So this last Sunday, I think, was the 23rd. It was the 10th anniversary of the T-Mobile G1/HTC Dream announcement. 10 long years it's been.
Yes, it has.
But did anybody other than Ryan? We're going to talk about that. Did anybody actually own this phone at the time? I had one for about a week and I returned it.
I did not technically own it, but I did have one for a few hours when a buddy of mine bought one. Long story, couldn't use it for a little bit, handed it to me, so I got to mess with it. That was about it. It was smoother than the Windows Mobile phone that I was using at the time.
That's not
only barely, but
Let's see. So
yeah.
This came out in 2008. So I would have been 10 years old at the time. I'm a So I did not have a phone when I was 10, even though there are a lot of 10-year-olds now that have phones, which is very alarming. But no, at the time, I think I had an iPod Nano 4th generation, I think. Maybe.
So like, let's see, this came out, so it would have been the fall. It was the fall.
Hold on.
I don't think that I even had a smartphone when this first came out.
Really?
Because it would have been, yes, 2008. I'm pretty sure that the first smartphone I bought was the when did the iPhone 3G come out? Was that
almost the same time?
So I had one of those, so maybe I did have that, but yeah, but like, and I ended up, I was just very annoyed with iOS after a while, and I wanted to be on Android, but like for almost a year, the G1 was the only phone you could get. So I bought one, but then it wasn't very good, so I took it back. But there was like there was the MyTouch 3G / the Magic that was like 9 or 10 months later that came out, and that phone didn't have it didn't have a keyboard, but it did have a headphone jack, at least in the US, I think. I don't know if the international one did. Or maybe it was only a special edition one that had a headphone jack. It was a very strange time.
And now we've come back around, haven't we?
Yeah. The first couple of Android phones had USB EXT ports, which it was a mini USB with a couple of extra pins for audio. Yeah. It was very strange. But I mean, yeah, no, I think it's kind of interesting. Like that phone it's a thing that everybody recognizes because it's so distinctive, but so few people actually owned it. I mean, it was only on T-Mobile in the US, so at the time that was a big problem.
Yeah, no kidding. At least where I live, T-Mobile was barely existent. There was one store, and coverage was like super spotty.
Yeah, for a long time, T-Mobile's 3G network where I live just didn't work half the time. Like every phone I had would just freeze every minute or two, the data connection. I would have to like toggle airplane mode off and on, and it was, oh man.
They were pretty bad up until starting like 6 years ago when they started like really going all out with the HSPA and the LTE.
Yeah, that was my experience too. Because I switched to Verizon for a while. I mean, and Verizon wasn't like great or anything, but yeah, no, I mean it was real bad for a while, and then it got a lot better. And you know, I guess it depends where you live. There's still rural places where you would not want to use T-Mobile, but you know, better than it once was. But yeah, so that was 10 years ago, and the first year was pretty rough. But then just over a year later is when the Droid came out, and that was like,
Yep,
that was the
big.
beginning of everything. But we'll get to we'll talk about more phone history stuff later. But before we move on from the G1, we have a report from the past on the G1. This is it's like Ryan traveled back in time and got this phone and brought it to the present day.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm a time traveler. It's true.
But I gather it was not a good experience.
No, it wasn't that great. So like the last couple phones that I did when we were looking back, starting with the Galaxy Nexus, I started running into like some pretty big problems with things like security certificates when browsing websites. App Store didn't really want to play nice, stuff like that. That was all like turned up to 11 on the G1. Almost nothing worked. A bunch of the built-in apps and services didn't even work. Stuff like Contact Sync, just talking to the Google account that I was using, my test account, didn't even work. Gmail continued to work, which was interesting, but YouTube didn't. Yeah, it was a trying time. It was functionally a dumb phone, but it was interesting and educational.
In case nobody like put two and two together, we've been doing this series of Ryan uses a terrible old phone, like in the lead up to the 10th anniversary of Android, and this whole week we've been doing a lot of like Android history stuff. So if you haven't like been reading these things, you should, because it's a festive time of year for us. It's a whole decade of Android. Yeah. So like, how was the keyboard? Like, did you enjoy having a landscape keyboard on a phone?
No. So I never had a keyboard phone other than my BlackBerry Pro, which was the phone I got right before the original iPhone. So there's no nostalgia for me. I wasn't in love. I didn't miss the keyboard. So when I ended up having to use the keyboard on the G1, and there are certain times, like during the setup process, when you have to use it, I did not enjoy it. The key travels, Ryan, I know, is a keyboard enthusiast more so than me, so I can discuss these things. The key travel was junk. There was barely any tactile feedback. It was not good. I didn't feel satisfying at all to use.
Yeah, that's what I vaguely recall from back in the day. That phone, when it launched, it didn't even have like an on-screen keyboard, though. You had to use the keyboard. Like,
yeah,
at the time, which was very strange. I remember I had a T-Mobile G2, which was the HTC something internationally.
I wanted one of those so bad. Oh my god!
The keyboard on that one was I actually liked that one. Like it had clicky feedback.
That was the HTC Desire Z.
Yes, the Desire Z. Yeah, and it was actually it was a neat like opening mechanism. It was like a cool phone, but it was kind of at the tail end of like the period when I would even want a physical keyboard on a phone. But like when the G1 came out, it was very much like, Apple doesn't have a keyboard and the on-screen keyboard kind of sucks. So, let's have a phone with a physical keyboard, even though, by the standards of today, it's a terrible experience. Like on-screen keyboards have gotten so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can do things that all physical keyboards can't, like search for characters, especially emojis, and also swipe typing. I don't think you can do that.
You can do that kind of on the Key 2. I don't think it's very good, but
well, isn't the swipe just for like scrolling?
You can do that too, but I think you can like swipe to input words.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think it's not good though. But like it's I mean, anything like a phone-sized form factor, I just think a physical keyboard is not the best way to enter text.
I would agree. You can't really touch type because it's not like you've grown familiar with it like you have with a normal keyboard.
And like pushing the buttons with your thumb, it's just like it adds like it takes much longer to like press and release and move to the next one than if you're just like grazing the screen,
Yeah, and the size of the buttons, coupled with I've kind of got calloused thumbs from sewing leatherworking stuff.
I knew it should be something like that. I just knew.
But because of that, like I can't really feel when I'm on a key, so I just kind of have to push and hope. And sometimes I push like 2.
Yeah.
So really quick, real-time follow-up. Evan Lucken, however it's pronounced, on YouTube just pointed out that it's also John Laguerre's work anniversary, 6 years with T-Mobile. This month,
that same day, or just like around this time.
It's September. I don't see a specific date.
That seems plausible. I have no idea who the guy was before him. I think he's in the video that we posted. Somebody recorded the G1 announcement. I assume the mobile CEO, whoever he is, was in that video. But yeah. Okay. Well, if we don't have any more Ryan uses old phones news to cover,
there may not be any more Ryan uses old phones news for a while.
Ryan's done.
Yeah,
we've tortured him too much.
Yeah. So yeah, if that's over, then let's just real quickly let's just talk about Tunnel Bear.
It's Tunnel Bear time.
It's Tunnel Bear time. And nobody can see this, but there are a lot of bear emojis in our document. Oh,
I just sent them. They can see them now.
Yes, I see you highlighted.
Right below all the Ryan emojis.
Yeah. I'm happy that you can just like copy an emoji out of a document, paste into like a chat app, and it works. Like it's good that emojis are like that.
The future.
It's also good that Tunnel Bear exists because it's a VPN provider that you can use right now. You can try it for free. They'll give you 500 megs of monthly data to give it a shot. And it's a very good VPN service. I mean, I've been using it. It works with Netflix, which is fun. A lot of VPNs don't. It's also the only major VPN that has been that has gone through an independent security audit. So the apps and the infrastructure was all tested. You can go and see the results. You'll know that Tunnel Bear is keeping your data safe because, of course, that is why you're paying them to keep your data secure. Unlike your ISP, which is probably doing shady things with your data. Or at least, they will eventually, as soon as they think they can get away with it, because that's what they do. But a VPN, their entire reason to exist is to keep your privacy. So you can give Tunnel Bear a shot. It is $5 a month for unlimited usage. That is if you buy the yearly plan, which you can do at tunnelbear.com/Android Police. And if you want to go there and check that out, that helps the show. So click on that link and try it out.
Yes.
Cool.
And now we'll move on to the non-chilling part of the show.
I didn't know we had that section.
Well,
yeah,
I guess.
We were supposed to dedicate the next 30 minutes to Tunnel Bear time, Ryan.
I mean, they don't pay us anymore for that, so I don't think that's really okay. So we also this week we posted 10 years of Android. 10 years of Android phones. They're the 10 most important phones, or 10 of the most important phones that have existed in the last decade of Android. So let's look at this list. I mean, we had like everybody sort of put in our preferences, and the list that came out I think is fairly representative of the Android Police team as a whole.
Yes. Now, one phone that I kind of, in retrospect, I probably should have put here was the original Pixels. I'm not quite sure how I forgot that. That's kind of important.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like, for like a there were probably some phones on here I think you probably shouldn't have had. Okay,
yeah.
Yes,
all right.
You screwed up, Corbin. You screwed up.
I'm sorry.
Okay. But the Samsung Galaxy Note is up here on the list, and that's
my list, Ryan. My list.
It's whatever on Corbin's list.
Thank you.
Starts the Galaxy Note, which is a good place to start because when that phone came out, I thought it was insane and ridiculous.
That ridiculous 5.3-inch screen. What were they thinking?
I know. At the time, it was huge, and it had a stylus, and we were all huge. Nobody wants that, but turns out people definitely wanted that. Like I remember that phone did that phone ever even launch in the US?
Yeah, it launched on AT&T.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. It says in 2012 it did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing that phone in real life and thinking like, wow, people are actually using that giant thing.
Is that a paper towel in the background of that photo?
No, I think it's a bed. It's like a bed sheet.
Looks like it.
It's like
when that phone was announced, I think one of the few people who was convinced that was going to be a huge success. But and I know there's a comment somewhere on AP where I even said this is going to be a huge phone for women. Like women are going to be all over this because they can throw it in a purse. It's a small tablet for them, and like it will kill in Asian countries. Like I was convinced of that, and I'm just chalking up to a lucky guess. I kind of got that right, but what I did not expect was I saw so many guys with this phone. And like, I could not explain that. Like at that time, there was no way that phone was fitting in most people's pants. It was a pain to carry.
It was the era of skinny jeans.
I mean, and
Exactly.
while the screen sounds pretty small by like conventional standards,
Yeah.
it had some bezels. It was a big phone. Physically, it was large.
Yeah, and it had a pretty hefty battery too. I don't think I did not write down what size the battery was, but it was very large to the point where you could use it for pretty much the whole day, heavy use, and it would still have a charge at the end.
Even back in the days of crappy Android battery life, it could make
2,500 milliamp hours. That was big back then. Wow.
Yeah, I remember at that time the phone I had then was lucky if it made it past like 7 hours light usage.
Yeah. I did not have the Galaxy Note, but I did have the Galaxy Player 5, which was like an iPod Touch version of this phone.
And is that because you were still like an infant at the time and good?
Yes, exactly.
Damn it.
And basically the whole time I had it, people wondered why I had such a big phone. Like people would walk up to me in school and be like, "Why do you have such a big phone?"
And,
like,
and now they're all using like 6.5-inch
exactly.
whatever.
I was cool before everyone else.
And
thank you for your approval.
Obviously.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, Mr. Cool. You also put the M7 on the list, and I question this one, but I will grant you it was probably the last HTC phone people were excited about. I guess you could say it's maybe
it was pretty hot.
It got stellar reviews.
Yeah.
I said this was probably I said in the post this was probably the peak achievement of a HTC smartphone division because it was a pretty good phone.
Yeah, it like the buttons were really weird though. Like it just had home and back, and that was always very weird for me. But it did have like big front-facing speakers at the time when that was not really a thing.
Yes, and it had Beats Audio, which was a thing that I had completely forgotten about until I was writing this post.
Apple owns that now.
Yeah.
Wow. That's who'd have thought? Okay, so the original Moto G, I agree with this because like that was crazy at the time because you could buy a phone that was under $200 unlocked and it didn't suck.
Yes.
I mean, it was like a great phone, but like man, the value.
Yes.
It was definitely a great phone at the time. It did not age super well.
Well, no.
I can attest to that. This is actually the only phone on this list that I've personally owned. I used the Moto G for about a year and a half, I think, after my Nexus 5 died. And it was really nice, but it did not age well because when it got the Lollipop update, that kind of messed everything up. Because
Lollipop
it only had...
rough even for phones that shipped with it.
Yeah, the Moto G only had 1 gig of RAM, and I remember... when I would try to play music and then open another app, the music would instantly cut off because of Lollipop's memory leaking bug. So that was fun.
Yeah. So we also have the OnePlus One, which I think makes a lot of sense. That was a big deal phone because it had Cyanogen OS on it,
and it's actually still a very good phone with a modern ROM.
Yeah, I mean it still holds up okay. I mean it hasn't gotten like real updates, so you have to do ROMs and whatnot. But man, that was that was hard to pass up, that deal. I mean the camera was bad, but everything else about that phone was pretty hot, and the software was good. And then OnePlus had to change the software for the next phone because Cyanogen was run by a legitimately crazy person.
Yeah.
And who was trying to shoot Google in the head or whatever.
I was about to say, did he ever shoot Google? I can't remember.
Man, I'm pretty sure Google is still unshot, and he is out of a job.
Oh no, he's working at some other terrible company now. They spun off into doing smart cars or something.
They are. They're making Cyanogen is now in
because he was that crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Cyanogen went away, but OnePlus still makes phones. They have Oxygen OS now, and it's it's become a pretty respectable build of Android, and their phones are still good. They've gotten more expensive, but I mean, I guess all phones have. I still kind of wish they would not up the price every single time they launched a new phone. But the OnePlus One was a good device. It was the start of something big. So there's also the Xiaomi Mi Mix on the list, and this one is I also sort of question. I get it, but
I guess it'll grow more relevant as time goes on. I think we're thinking.
Yeah, I'm still honestly not sure if this is the phone that bucked everyone on the trend of bezel-less, or if this is kind of one of those times where the whole industry is kind of working towards the same goal, and this is just the one that came out first. So I think you can make an argument either way.
I think it was definitely that Dell Venue tablet with the small bezels, right? Like that had to be
that was pretty nice.
That was
I
actually
wanted one of those so bad.
It was such a crazy weird tablet though.
That one and the Sony made something like that too, right? The Xperia, it was some Xperia tablet that also had really small bezels, I think.
I was sure that Dell had an Atom, and I was like, because of that.
So the Motorola Droid / Milestone. Yes, this is one of the seminal Android phones. This is what really did it for Android. This is when it went from like, maybe this isn't going to work to this is working super well, like in the space of a few months. This was the first Android phone that I bought and like kept for any period of time, although not that long, if we're being honest. But it was a good phone for what it was. It was on Verizon, and that was at a time when you could not buy the iPhone any place but AT&T, which I think Apple should look back on with great regret. That's why Android exists, because they didn't want to move off of AT&T, or like AT&T had like such a stranglehold of a deal that they couldn't move. I don't know, but that's why Android exists the way it does today, is because you could buy the Droid on Verizon. In the space of a couple of months, the volume of apps at the time the Android market just ballooned. It became actually usable. You could actually get apps for the services that you were using on the internet. And it had a keyboard, and the keyboard was bad, but it physically had a keyboard, which was still a thing people cared about. Also, the ads were really obnoxious. But
yeah, and two quick things. This was the first phone with Android 2.0, which is kind of
the only phone ever with Android 2.0. No other phone ran it, and it was weird. Actually, it had like some strange UI stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing is that you could probably make the argument that this is the most influential phone on this list, at least in the US, because up until recently, the general public still called Android phones droids. So,
yeah. For a while, that was the thing. Now they're Galaxies.
Yeah. Now they're Samsungs.
Well, if Motorola had just kept at it, they could be where Samsung is now, because like they were Android for a while there.
Okay, if they had also dropped that terrible Moto Blur skin that needed to die in the fire.
I think that was a big part of why they are where they are now.
Yeah.
Like the Droid was successful because it had like mostly stock Android. It was essentially a Google device. And it worked reasonably well, but like that Moto Blur stuff back in the day, like, man, it was so cluttered and bad and slow. I don't know how anybody could put that out and think people are going to want to buy this, but they did, and it didn't go well. So yeah, the Droid was a good phone despite all of the weird keyboard issues, but it was the thing. The Galaxy S2, a lot of people had issues with us putting the S2 on the list.
Oh no, this belongs there more than almost any other phone.
I agree completely.
Yeah, this was the first Galaxy S phone that was like there was everywhere. Although there was I think some carriers had like weird variants of it. Was the Sprint
it had different names.
The Sprint one was that one with the obnoxiously long name, I think, and the keyboard, wasn't it?
Yeah, the 4G Epic or Epic 4G,
Epic 4G
something.
Yeah, no, that was real bad. And I think Verizon actually didn't have a Galaxy S2, did they? They had the Galaxy Nexus that year, and they didn't have the Galaxy S2 because of it.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure somebody can look this up and prove me right or wrong, I guess, but I'm pretty sure I'm right that they didn't have the S2. But this phone, like, this is when people started to look at Samsung phones as the thing they would buy every year.
And a lot of people in comments thought that the S3 was the one that really cemented that, but that's like the follow-up to the great original when you've got it
It was like an S generation
Well,
on an iPhone.
okay, well, now here's the thing. I will grant, like, the Galaxy S3 was important because Samsung started to pay a lot more attention to the design. They changed it in such a way that they could not have to worry about Apple patents, maybe. But they were also like very consistent with that phone. All the Galaxy S3s you could buy, it was the Galaxy S3. Like, they looked the same.
The only reason they were able to get that deal with the carriers is because of the success of the S2, though. So it's the success of the S2 that brought about the S3.
And it was the S3 that kept the momentum going. That kind of kept, sort of placed Samsung as the dominant Android manufacturer. So really, it's both. I still think the S2 is overall really the one that set the stage for Samsung to overshadow everyone else.
Yeah. And then, as we just alluded to, the next on this is the Galaxy Nexus.
I've got mine right here.
Nexus. We talked about this kind of recently because Ryan was using the 3G version in the US for the first like 6 or 7 months of this phone's existence. We could only purchase the Verizon LTE Galaxy Nexus, which was so bad. I have bad memories of this phone. The battery life just got worse and worse and worse the longer this was out. Like, every software update made it so much less efficient, and it would just heat up and just blow through the battery in the space of a few hours. It was a problem. But that was back when LTE modems were like pretty tough to do, efficiently. And so I mean, that was the thing. But it was an important phone because Ice Cream Sandwich, it was the first ICS phone, and that was kind of the first version of Android that felt like cohesive. That's when we got the Holo interface.
It felt like there was a designer at Google.
Yes, and there was Matisse Duarte. That was the first version of the OS that he really got to get his hands dirty. Well, I guess you could say maybe Honeycomb, but we don't talk about Honeycomb.
A little bit, yeah. Those were dark days.
Okay. I want you to explain to me why the Priv is on this list, Corbin.
Yes, everyone in the comments had issues with me putting the Priv on this list, and I put it on because it was important, maybe not in the terms of Android, but kind of as a whole of the smartphone industry, because this was the last phone that BlackBerry itself manufactured, which ended a 19-year-long era of BlackBerry phones. So I think it's important mostly for that reason, also because it was the first really Android phone period with a keyboard in years. That obviously didn't help it, but it's kind of noteworthy for that reason. But yeah, that's the main reason it's on this list, because it was the last BlackBerry, the actual last BlackBerry phone, because all of the newer ones have been manufactured by TCL and other licensees.
Won't be missed.
Yes.
I also want to point out that I have confirmed that the Galaxy S2 did not come to Verizon.
That's good.
Because they got the Galaxy Nexus.
Yes. And so then we've got, we're back to the G1. So we've already talked about that. So those are the 10 phones that we decided were the most important, or among the most important.
Yes.
Don't send us angry emails that your favorite phone was.
I know.
Except clearly the Priv doesn't belong and the Pixels do.
Yeah.
We could probably swap out the Priv and the Pixels.
People were very opinionated on this post.
I think can you do that right now on the podcast?
Replace it with the Nexus 5, and I think.
No, I have an actual issue with this, because about half the comments were people complaining that the Nexus 5 was on this list. The Nexus 5 was not a good phone.
It was so cheap. It had LTE.
Okay, yes. It was
okay. It was a fine phone.
It was cheap.
It was a fine phone,
but it was not important at all in the grand scheme of things. It was just a cheap LG phone that Google put their software on. I had one. It had really bad battery life, and the camera was pretty bad, and it died after a year because the power button got stuck, which was apparently a common issue.
Except for that last one, you described almost every Android phone at the time.
See, now I would argue that the Nexus 5 was basically just a Nexus 4, but like every major detail was improved, except it was nowhere near as pretty as the Nexus 4.
Yeah, can somebody just make
and
it before again? That would be great if you just make that with new hardware. Like if you're gonna have all these glass backs, you could at least put some sparkly junk under there.
I like the sparkly junk.
yeah, that was cool. And also a light bar. We need to get that light bar that Liam still wants. I believe.
Yeah, you know, the sad thing, Google doesn't really even do the light bar on the computers anymore. So I think that one.
I know.
That's a lost cause. Oh,
Maybe
well.
that'll be on the Pixelbook slate. That's a bit. That's Google's one more thing is we put a light bar on the tablet. Liam's like, did someone say light bar?
Okay, so we've also, because again, this is Android anniversary week, we also picked the 10 or no, sorry, our 5 favorite Android statues, because as you may be aware, Google used to make really fun statues for every version of Android, and now they make stupid, boring ones.
Yeah.
But in the past, there was, for example, the gingerbread statue, which is a giant gingerbread man. That's fun. It's a fun statue.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's just a gingerbread. It's not. Doesn't resemble Android at all. But it's a fun statue. I'll give it that. It's fun.
Yeah, they should
Can't make 5. What the hell's wrong with you?
And they should put some antenna on there. You know, actually, Gingerbread is the first version of Android that had an Easter egg in it, and the Easter egg was a painting of like phone zombies and a demonic gingerbread man. If nobody has seen this, you should look it up. I'm not even joking. That's actually what it is. Like,
I don't think I've seen this.
really? Oh God, you. Right. Yeah,
I mean, I had a gingerbread phone, but I didn't think I knew what the Easter eggs were.
Yeah, it's great. It's actually my like profile header on Google. I enjoy it.
Oh, that. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh, Google. Android was so strange before ICS.
it was. Okay, so then Honeycomb. So Honeycomb, it has the little Android guy. It looks like he's missing an antenna in this photo, maybe. I'm not sure. But he's sort of popping out of Honeycomb. There's a giant bee on it. That's kind of fun. I like the ones where they mutate the Android, though. Those are my favorite. For example, Ice Cream Sandwich. This is an objectively good statue.
That's a good statue.
It's an ice cream sandwich Android. It is exactly what it is.
Yes, and I love that he's got the wrapper that's sort of pushed down and ripped off.
Yeah,
it's
Although
great.
I don't know how the wrapper would have gotten over his arms.
I want some ice cream.
It's a good statue.
So little going back to Honeycomb really quick for a fun fact. They actually built that statue partially in mind that they wanted kids to be able to like poke their head through and crawl through it and like take pictures. So by that time they knew they wanted the statues out in front of Google and like really feature that as like a tourist thing.
Are they still out where you can see them? I thought they like moved them to some weird place.
They moved them to there's this like Google store where they have like just merch. It's not immediately next to the Android building. It's a few blocks away. Anyway, they have a little park set up basically right in front of that. And that's where all the statues, except for the current one, whatever the current statue is, that stays in front of the Android offices, but all the others get moved to this little park.
They get the shitty, boring statues. That's nice.
Yeah, basically.
So the Jelly Bean statue is also on the list. And this one is interesting because they had to change it because originally it was just like an Android shaped like clear like dome top. Like it's an Android with a bunch of like jelly beans in it, but the head melted. So they had to change the head to like a non-transparent head that looks like an actual Android head.
And I just noticed in the first picture with the transparent head, there seems to be like pieces of paper on the sides where the arms are. Is that like a note telling people
Please don't open it.
Yeah, don't steal the jelly beans.
No, because it totally
because someone
open up and
done that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Please don't steal any more jelly beans. We're out.
Yeah, it's like these are really hard to make. Just stop.
But yeah, I like this one. This one is probably my favorite. The second one. The first one just kind of looks weird because he doesn't have like a face. It's like,
no antenna.
It's like an R2D2 sort of.
Kind of, yeah. So then there's the Kit Kat statue. I enjoy this one quite a bit as well. Sort of the same vibe as the ICS statue. This one, it's just, it's a Kit Kat bar, right? With like the little individual like pieces you can break off with an Android head and arms and legs. Straightforward, quick. And I like it. Kit Kat, they actually acknowledged that the name was a candy that everybody likes. They had Kit Kat bars with the Android logo on them. when they did Oreo, they were just like, "This is a thing." Never said anything else about the name. Very weird.
Yeah, and this was really the last good statue.
Yeah. So wait, they didn't? Oh yeah, because Lollipop, they just had the android holding a lollipop. That was
so lame.
That was pretty lame.
And everyone after that, like the Nougat statue, was just like the android.
Okay, that one I would say is the worst.
It was just standing on a stack of like what I assume is nougat. Like they just look like white bricks. And I remember, like when they unveiled it, like as soon as they took the cover off, like one of the guys like sat down on the nougat, like, look, it's a bench, guys, it's a bench. Like, okay, that's nice. It's still garbage.
Wow. You know what else is a bench? Is all the jelly beans on the ground that someone took.
Marshmallow was pretty bad too, but somehow not as bad as nougat.
Yeah.
I don't remember the marshmallow statue.
Literally just an android holding a marshmallow.
Or they're just like, here's the bug droid with the thing.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think it's very creative, but I do like how comically large the marshmallow is. It kind of makes it cute.
Yeah.
As opposed to the pie one, which is not. It just looks boring.
We had an Android art contest back in the Marshmallow era, and someone sent us a background of like a Marshmallow Android, and it was really adorable. I can't remember exactly what it was. I used it as a background for a long time.
The campfire one?
Yeah.
I love that one. That's great.
Yeah. Somebody should find that on the website on androidpolice.com and link to it in the chat or something, because it was really great.
I miss the good statues. Google needs to get a person whose job is only to think of new statues.
Actually, I think that's what they had for a while. There was a like making of video that they put out with the guy who lives in like New York or something. He would make the statues there. I think they came up with a bit of a theme and ideas, but he was the one who actually like designed and made them. And yeah, he made all these really cool statues right from the start. And then he would put them on a trailer, truck them all the way to California. Whole thing, like they documented this in video, and it was cool. But now we have this. I assume they told him like stop making them cool.
They outsourced him.
I'm sure that some marketing jerk face at Google was like, "Hey guys, we have to stop like changing the Android bug droid. Like we can't change the logo with all these statues." And some heartless, like, fun-hating person was like, "That sounds like a good idea. Let's make that the official policy." And it's unfortunate.
And thus, all fun was killed.
Yeah. Also, I just found the marshmallow image, and I put it in the chat room. Everybody should go and like just gaze upon it and how much better it is than the official Android logo.
So Liam in the Twitch chat did the raised hand emoji, which I assume means that he's up to design the statues.
Okay.
I am in full support of this, Liam. Yeah. Please make
Anything
good
that makes them less boring would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all of the statues we got.
Did we ever publish that mock-up I did of the Oreo statue I wanted?
I don't know. I don't remember.
It was the glass of milk body with the bug droid's head was a half submerged.
I think you remember suggesting this in the run up to Oreo.
God damn it!
Yeah.
So the thing I always wanted to see them do with Marshmallow was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. They had to have been able to get rights on that. They could have. I'm sure of it.
That would have been a weird crossover.
Oh, but come on, nerddom would have held Google in the highest esteem for years to come over that.
It's like that meme where Marvel says this is the greatest crossover event in history. And it cuts to the Android.
So somebody brought up like what's the Q statue going to be? Like, well, they're going to have to pick some weirdo dessert that we've never heard of, so it's going to be bad.
You know they're going to kill it. They're going to kill the dessert names. We're going to switch to Android 10, and it's going to be like iOS. It's going to be like OS X. It's done, man.
I mean, I kind of thought that they would switch to like a different naming scheme, like something a little bit more, I don't know, a little less fun, basically.
They'll be like Apple, and they'll start naming things after
Parks.
What is it? Yeah, national parks.
I think
Or things in California.
they'll have some sort of name, but like Q is just such a hard letter to find a dessert for. They're also kind of running out of letters. They're getting on towards the end of the alphabet. It's been a long time.
Well, if they do things in California, they could do Android Earthquake with Q.
Android Quake.
Yeah. Android Quake, and it could come with a copy of Quake 3. That'd be great.
Sure.
Who do I call at Google?
Somehow I think they'll have to like actually go out of their way and look for a brand to do a deal with, because I know that there's a couple of Q names for like specific candies or something, but the generics, I don't think they're gonna have too many good options.
And you know, whoever's making candy that starts with Q, they're like frothing at the teeth to get branding opportunities, because no one's heard of a candy that starts with Q.
Yeah. Well,
I kind of wonder how that actually did for Nestle.
I mean, I think the Kit Kat thing was pretty big because Google actually like paid attention to it.
Yeah.
But
and they got to put the Android on all the packages and were selling like basically collectible.
So somebody suggested quiche. Can you make
cotton candy
with
with
quiche
huge?
that's like a dessert item?
You can. I don't think I've heard of
Sounds
anyone
gross.
like doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, honeycomb wasn't really a candy either. So.
No.
And it's true.
You can eat. Some people would eat.
Well, they very specifically reminded people over and over. It's not that it's
Tasty
like
treat.
candies. No, it's sweet treats.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything could count, but yeah, they're gonna have to work so hard to make Q work.
Android Quake, you heard it here first.
I kind of thought they were going to switch to animals back when the original Easter egg in O was an octopus.
They should do that. That's what Ubuntu does, and they come up with fun animal names every release.
Yeah, but so many people have done animals.
Yeah,
Like
'Cause it's
that is
fun.
the entire Unix Linux world.
it's easy is the thing. There are a lot of
and then they could make really fun animal statues.
no that they wouldn't though. They would just
Oh,
have
that's true.
here's the Bugdroid riding the animal. For
Or
the
holding it. Wouldn't even riding would be too cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
to be holding.
the Android statue will be a statue of the Bugdroid holding a little statue of the animal.
Oh jeez.
I could
no.
be for that. I think that's a fun idea. If it's what's Q? What is an animal that starts with a Q?
Quail, duh.
That's lame. That's whatever the candy that someone suggested. That's how lame it is. Animals that start with Q.
Oh, you're googling that. Okay.
I am Googling.
Wow, there's actually not a lot. Q is just a crappy letter.
Yeah. Android skipping Q. It's like how hotels skip a level 13.
Oh,
Android's
okay.
just
No,
gonna
this is
skip
what
it.
they should do. Because they did this with, I forget what version it was, but there was some version that lasted like no time at all. What they should do is name 8.1, give that Q, and then just immediately, or sorry, not 8.1, but whatever.
9.1.
Yes, they need to just blow right past it.
9.0.1 is Q, and then 9.
And then this statue is just a little dead zebra figure in the garden. That's the statue. Pay no attention.
That's like how OnePlus cleverly got to skip 4 because it's bad luck in China. They were like, okay, like they did the 3 and then the 3T instead of 4, and then they just went right to 5.
Q is bad luck at Google. We could say that. Maybe.
Yeah, Q is actually bad luck at Google.
Thing is, they're going to run into a lot of letters that are kind of crappier at this stage.
I think there are plenty of options.
Oh yeah. The next few are good, but then
You could be a problem.
They could do Skittles.
Well, yeah.
that would look just like Jelly Bean, though.
I think U and V will be a problem. X probably.
Yeah.
Y and Z, I think.
All of these are issues. Google, this is a serious This is a serious problem that Google has to address.
Working on this.
Yeah, it's the guy who is no longer making the statues.
Okay. All right then. Do we have any other things we want to talk about this week, or have we exhausted our Android statue jokes?
We could probably keep going, but I don't know if they do.
I mean, if people haven't stopped watching the stream by now, I don't think they will. So we can keep going.
Although, if you're still watching the stream now, I feel like you should probably subscribe because
subscribe and you can get the Ryan emoji.
Like, I don't know about it, but
it's personally Ryan approved.
It's approval.
It's quite the emoji. Okay, so we will go ahead and wrap it up for this week then. If you want to reach out to us and tell us why we got that list of phones wrong, that is podcast@androidpolice.com, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.